Have you ever noticed how some people share almost every part of their life online? The food they eat, the places they visit, the outfits they wear, their highs, their lows, their celebrations, their quiet mornings, their random thoughts, their gym selfies, their airplane windows, their friendships, their heartbreaks. At first, it looks simple, just posting, but human behavior is never simple. Psychology says this kind of digital expression is layered, emotional, and often far more revealing than it appears. People who share their life publicly are not doing it without meaning. In fact, their posting patterns can reflect hidden needs, emotional wounds, personality traits, and deep psychological motivations. Not in a negative way, not in a judgmental way, but in a very human way. Because beneath every post, whether loud or soft, exciting or ordinary, there is always a psychological story quietly unfolding. For many people, social media becomes a way of being seen, not in the superficial sense, but in the existential sense. Human beings have always needed witnesses to their lives. We need to be acknowledged. We need to feel recognized. We need to feel visible. Before social media existed, people found visibility in families, communities, tribes, friendships, or journals. But today, that visibility often comes from a digital world where attention is currency and connection is created through screens. Posting becomes a modern-day way of saying, "This moment mattered to me, and I want it to exist somewhere outside my own memory." Psychologists call this a self-presentation mechanism, the drive to shape how the world sees us. It's not manipulation or performance, it's identity building. People who share frequently often treat their social feed as an ongoing autobiography. Through every photo and caption, they sculpt a version of themselves they want to understand, accept, or become. When they share a perfect sunset or a smiling picture, it's not just beauty. It's self-definition. They're telling the world, and themselves, who they believe they are or who they aspire to be. And here's something fascinating. Many people who post often are actually storytellers. Their visuals and captions are their language. Some people express themselves through talking, others through silence, others through art. These people express through visuals. Their posts are not just updates, they're emotional expressions, reflections of what they feel, what they value, what they hope someone will understand about them. There is also something psychologists call emotional regulation through social sharing. When someone is excited, proud, lonely, anxious, or overwhelmed, posting becomes a release valve, a way to express emotion without confronting it directly, a way to feel connected without having to call someone and say, "I need support," a way to feel seen without admitting, "I feel invisible," a way to store joy without saying, "I'm scared this moment will fade." For many, sharing becomes a coping mechanism disguised as content. And then there's the validation loop, one of the strongest psychological forces in the digital age. Every like, comment, or view becomes reinforcement. Not because these people are attention-hungry, but because attention is emotionally rewarding. When someone didn't receive consistent emotional validation growing up, they learned to search for it elsewhere. Not in a desperate way, but in a human way. A child who wasn't seen becomes an adult who longs to be. A teenager who felt ignored becomes an adult who documents life to ensure no moment feels meaningless. Validation becomes not a luxury, but a psychological need, an unconscious reminder. You belong, you matter, you're not invisible. Another layer is social comparison. When people feel unsure about their place in the world, they often seek clarity by expressing themselves publicly. They post achievements or highlights not to brag, but to reassure themselves that they are progressing, that they are not falling behind, that they are living a life worth narrating. Posting becomes a way to compete against their own insecurities rather than against others. And let's talk about identity insecurity. People who feel unsure about who they are often post more because it helps them experiment with different versions of themselves. One day confident, one day vulnerable, one day adventurous. Social media becomes a mirror they use to explore themselves. They're not pretending. They're searching for the identity that feels like home, searching for the version of themselves they can finally settle into. But there is also a positive side we rarely acknowledge. People who post are often emotionally expressive, open-hearted, and connected to their experiences. They feel deeply, and they want to share deeply. Their mind is not private by nature. Their emotions don't stay inside easily. When something matters, they want the world to witness it because it makes the moment feel more real. They are also often the extroverted self-narrators of modern life. They're the ones who collect memories visually, who see art in everyday life, who document joy because it makes the moment more vivid. They turn their feed into a scrapbook of the life they're building. And there is nothing shallow about that. It's storytelling in a digital world. But here is the part few understand. Many people who post everything are actually lonely. Not alone, but lonely. Surrounded by people online, yet rarely understood offline. Their loud digital presence often hides a quiet emotional absence in their real life. They share not because they want the world's attention, but because they want the world's company. And then there's the fear of being forgotten. Psychologists call this existential visibility anxiety. Some people don't want to disappear into the background of life. They want to leave footprints, even in digital form. They want life to feel recorded, witnessed, remembered. Posting becomes a way to make sure their existence leaves a mark, however small. So what does all of this mean? It means that people who post everything are not shallow or attention-hungry. They are human beings navigating identity, emotion, connection, loneliness, hope, longing, expression, visibility, and sometimes insecurity. Their posting is not random, it's a psychological language. Before judging someone for sharing too much, remember this. People reveal what they wish someone would understand about them. People post what they hope someone cares about. People share moments they don't want to lose. People document pieces of themselves they don't want to bury. Some people post to be seen, some post to be remembered, some post to connect, some post to cope. Some post because their heart feels too full to keep everything inside. Everyone has a reason, and every reason is human. So whether someone posts everything or nothing at all, the truth remains. All of us are just trying to express ourselves in a world that rarely asks how we really feel. All of us are trying to leave small fingerprints on the timeline of life. All of us want to be seen in the light we hope the world understands. And if you appreciate valuable knowledge, whether it's about human nature, personal growth, success principles, or the wisdom that creates a better life, you're in the right place. Worthy Notes is here to share insights that help you grow, think smarter, aim higher, and build a life filled with clarity, confidence, and success.